Over in IPL, Rajat Patidar has been named as the RCB captain, the first non-superstar player to lead this massive team. But as soon as I heard the news, the question that struck me was, is this a bold call or is this a forced one? For months now, all the signs pointed to Virat Kohli taking over the reins of the RCB yet again. RCB kept buying a captain at the auction as well, despite having the second highest purse. Why? Because they believed Virat Kohli will be stepping in. But suddenly, reports emerged over the past couple of weeks that Virat Kohli does not want the job. He does not want to be the captain, and all these reports came in the last 2 weeks. That leaves us with big questions, two big questions. Did Kohli that he is going to return as captain only to back out now? And if Patidar was always plan A, which the RCB now is trying to make us believe, if Patidar was always going to be plan A, why did they not announce him as a captain immediately after the retention? Because he's been retained, he was there in the team since earlier. Why did RCB wait for that? Why did RCB wait for the auctions to get over? And now, why did RCB announce it in February of 2025? But the other big story, of course, coming out of this is that RCB finally seems to be moving past its superstar culture. The squad they picked this time suggests that they have plans beyond just brand value and marketing. With all due respect, Patidar is of course a great player, but not a superstar like some of his predecessors. So can he thrive under pressure at such a big reputed franchise with an insane following? Lots of questions that I'm sure the fans have as well, I have as well. And to answer all that and a lot more, joining us right now, Ranjit writer Nikhil Sharma, a sports commentator and author. Ranjit, starting with you now, of course, the big question of the day. Why do we have Rajat Patidar and not Virat Kohli?
I would like to say, Ashish, thank you again for having me. This is, I think, a thing of not preparing well. Because I can't believe it if you invest so much of money. See, when nowadays in the IPL, the money is mind-boggling. And I'm talking about not just the contracts, everything which goes with it. And then your next year's sponsors also depend on your performance of this year. Already we know RCB has a not that great a record in IPL. And they haven't been able to do anything. And probably one of the only teams other than probably Kings 11 Punjab. And looking at that, they should have had a plan B and a plan C, because that's the kind of a thing they do for the auctions. They have a huge team looking at all the stats and everything available. So it's even if what if Virat Kohli was injured? What happens then? Who takes over? So does this man have, so again, no disrespect to Patidar, but does he have the experience to lead superstars? And like you said, no superstars, but the foreigners coming in, the foreign players coming in, they are at least of a higher level of when you're talking about the standing in the cricket world. Will he be able to handle them? Has he done this before? What is his track record? Looking at all this with the high pressure world of IPL, I really think this can backfire. I really hope it doesn't for RCB, but it can. And I really hope that with the second largest purse which they had in their hand, they could have gone for a backup captain. Because see, in cricket, leadership plays a huge role. If the leader can't inspire, the difference between all the teams, by the way, is 19 and 20. 19-20 जैसे कहते हैं. It's all about who plays better on that day. And that comes from the mindset, the winning culture, and that all comes from the captain and the leadership.
All right. Also joining us is Vedam Jaishankar, who's a sports journalist. Vedam, apologies for the initial hiccup there, but of course, talking of RCB now, what's your assessment of the decision that they've taken? Because they now say that Rajat Patidar is their bold choice. But if you look closely, looks like Rajat Patidar was their only choice. Because if Virat Kohli doesn't want to captain, Rajat Patidar, of course, is the choice. Who else would they go for? Krunal Pandya? I mean, the fans would be absolutely livid.
No, I think it's a good, bold move for 2 or 3 reasons I can easily think of. One is he was the captain of Madhya Pradesh, which did very well. Second is the RCB think tank, that is, which existed till now, are all made up of people who are exposed to international cricket. They don't have too much of data on local cricket or domestic cricket. Somebody like Patidar, who's been playing for Madhya Pradesh, brought the team to the final. I think he knows a lot about local players. It's very easy to keep track of the superstars. But what about somebody who's coming through the ranks? What we have seen in the last few years of IPL, especially the last 2-3 years, is it's the unknown player coming from some small area. I say unknown because the rest of the world doesn't know about them. The teams would have known about them. The rest of the world doesn't know about them. And suddenly they spring forth and do tremendously well. Somebody like Rajat Patidar would have had his ear to the ground. And let's not forget, he's one of the best players of spin bowling that we have. And if he can work himself somewhere there in the middle order, then I'm sure he will really show the superstars how to go about getting after these spinners. Remember that Chinnaswamy Stadium, where they have to play at least 50% of their matches, is not an easy stadium for bowlers. Bowlers always get taken for runs there. So you need somebody like Rajat Patidar with his knowledge of Indian conditions, with his knowledge of Indian bowlers, to guide them through that. Yes, you might say that Virat Kohli also has the same advantages. But let's not forget that Virat Kohli himself has not played a lot of domestic cricket for the last 4 or 5 years. So he must be as much in the dark about domestic players as, say, Andy Flower or Mo Bobat. So I think all in all, they're trying to tap into the local vein, and local vein in the form of Rajat Patidar, who definitely deserves a place in the 11, and he is an automatic choice in the RCB playing 11. And what better than him? And he's done well for RCB. He might have missed out a season because of injury, but otherwise, if you look at his
Absolutely.
career records,
Vedam, you suggested that Rajat Patidar is a good choice because he, of course, captained Madhya Pradesh to the finals. And I'm not sure if you're also trying to suggest that because Madhya Pradesh choked in the final as well under his captaincy, that makes him a very good candidate for RCB's captaincy as well. I'm not sure if you're suggesting that. But meanwhile, let me also get in Joseph as well. Joseph, the question, of course, here that a lot of people are asking, and of course, I've spoken to a couple of people who are aware of the matter about what's happening inside RCB. And the understanding that I get is that apparently, the RCB management got very positive signs from Virat Kohli that he would be open to taking up the captaincy role. That is exactly why they did not go for any captaincy option. Multiple players who were willing to be captains were available in the auction. RCB had the second biggest purse. RCB still did not go for anyone because apparently they got positive signs from Virat Kohli that he was willing to take up the job. Suddenly now, the auctions are over, the retentions are over, and Virat Kohli is, of course, when the time finally comes of announcement, Virat Kohli says he doesn't want to take up the job. So RCB basically got blindsided by Virat Kohli, who gave them positive signs, but now says, well, I'm not open to captaincy. So apparently now, Rajat Patidar was not a choice; he's a compulsion.
Now, when they talk about positive signs being given to the team management during the auction, before the auction, they should have understood. When he stood in as captain for FAF last season for 3 matches, he made it very clear that he was just standing in for 3 games, nothing beyond that. His intent was very clear. When he stepped out of captaincy in 2021, he's been out of captaincy from the Indian team, and he's also decided to, finish his career slowly. He's also moving away to London, as all of us know. So Virat definitely wouldn't have given a guarantee saying that I'm going to be taking care of that. Now, from what I hear, the team management went and met him in Ahmedabad, tried to convince him, but he was not willing to accept the thing. He said, no, I will not. So who else did they have? As you rightly said earlier, beyond him, they have nobody else. You can't look at anybody as a captain material there. So they should have been wise when they were at the auction.
Some people say Krunal Pandya was a good option. Joseph, the people in the know-how apparently say that RCB management thought Krunal Pandya was a top choice for the captaincy.
No. These are all not players of caliber. They might have played a few international games, but these are not superstars and do not carry enough weight to have control over senior players. And we have international cricketers coming with attitudes. They have a lot of attitudes. You want to control them? It's going to be very, very difficult. So I feel the RCB has definitely messed up. No, it's not too late now. They can even look at other options. If somebody gets injured, maybe they can look at somebody coming in. But you never know. But from my perspective, I think RCB messed up by thinking that Virat would be leading the side. And when he has done that last year, when he said clearly that he would just lead those 3 games for filling in for Faf du Plessis, they should have been even more wary. They should have been thinking about it. They should have looked at other options. Today, they find themselves in a bind. And now they've gone to Rajat Patidar, and Rajat Patidar just led Madhya Pradesh for one season. You need a lot of experience to be a captain.
Absolutely.
And when you come onto the pitch with
Absolutely.
a troop,
And you know, Joseph,
you
what's
need to
hilarious?
read-
If you go to Royal Challengers Bangalore's YouTube channel now, they have 3 or 4 videos justifying why Rajat Patidar is a good choice. It's almost as if they're trying to convince the fans as well as themselves that the choice that they've made is a good one.
They need to convince themselves, but they can't convince all the fans. See, RCB fans are very,
Absolutely.
very passionate about the game. They love their team, and they're not going to be taken for a ride. They believe in Virat Kohli. They were following Duplessis, or 360 De Villiers, and Chris Gale. They had great following. They were all there. So they were looked up to superstars, not just to an ordinary. I mean, I'm not saying ordinary cricketer, just a cricketer who's emerging. He's a good player, no doubt. As Vedam said, excellent against spin bowlers. But then playing against spin bowlers and leading a team is different. You know, when you're leading a team, you need to bring in all the cards onto the pitch. You need to be
But again,
controlling
Joseph,
the team.
I want Ranjit to come in on this. Ranjit, the good point of this, the good aspect of this, in a way, if you look at it, is that RCB now finally seems to be moving over from that obsession of the superstar culture that seems to have plagued them since the IPL began, basically. Now, of course, they have a player who's not a so-called superstar. So, and even the squad that you look at, they have a lot of players who actually are very good in their own positions. They're not superstars of the game, but they're really good cricketers. So do you think finally, with the end of the superstar culture, right from the captaincy till the last playing 11, do you think finally the focus now at RCB is going to be cricket, and second will be brand value and marketing and all those kind of things?
See, that's why I'm kind of amused at the situation, because if the superstars you're actually mentioning, AB de Villiers, like Joseph rightly said, 360 AB de Villiers all over the place, and you had people like Chris Gale and even Dale Steyn in the middle, and then they were great performers, not only superstars. They were there in the team because of their performances, and they were world beaters and world champions at that time. Some of them being the best in what they do. They were ranked #1 in the world. In fact, they were like the match winners of that time. Chris Gale is not playing for them anymore. AB de Villiers is not playing for them because they're past their prime. In the same way, as a captain, if you want to look at it, there would have been no better choice than Virat Kohli. And with the kind of performers they picked, that means they've just gone for people who performed. And that's a great choice and the great way to go about it. They also needed a leader who's performed. So having led Madhya Pradesh, again, no disrespect, and he can go and prove me wrong, he can be the next Dhoni. But at this stage, he's led them for one season. And in the IPL, you have to go through every situation. So the number of situations he'll face in the IPL probably will be 100 different situations. And how to go through them can only be coming easy if you've done it before in a match. If he's not done it under that pressure in that match, even in first-class cricket, because he's been there for a year, I don't think with the kind of scrutiny, I mean, everything is analyzed so deeply, even every little step he takes will be analyzed. So do you want to put one of your great performers
Absolutely,
under that
Ranjit.
pressure?
Now the problem
because
here,
he was one of the guys who was doing the
Ranjit,
best
is that the RCB management now is trying so hard to sell this as an innovative, bold choice that they have done that has surprised their opponents and is going to be a masterstroke. But the reality of that, which Joseph also very clearly explained, is that they have messed up big time. And whether this will have an effect on the tournament or not, that remains to be seen, because RCB has had the biggest of superstars at the helm, but nothing has really brought them the trophy home. Will this be a positive change? That remains to be seen. But one undeniable fact is that RCB definitely has messed up as far as the captaincy call is concerned, and it remains to be seen how the tournament pans out for them as well. Ranjit Bajaj, Joseph Hoover, and Vedam Jaishankar, really appreciate you joining us on the broadcast here. Of course, a very interesting discussion here. We'll of course see how the tournament pans out for RCB in the days to come.